Hello, this is Rumour Control, and here are the facts. We've watched all 6 Alien films, and we're about to rank them from worst to best. That is all.
Hello and welcome to Woodshed Reviews, where we review films old and new, good and bad. And today we are going to rank the Alien franchise, worst to best.
It started.
So previously to this, just for a bit of housekeeping, we did the Predator films, so you can watch that in the link here.
Somewhere here, yeah.
Here. And we did include in that the 2 crossover films, Alien vs Predator and Alien vs Predator Requiem. So they're not going to be in this list, we're just concentrating on the 4 initial Alien films and the 2 prequels from more recently.
Yeah. So we're totally unaware of each other's choices.
Yeah, aye, that's the other thing. So we've watched them all. I don't know what your order is. We're going to go through them one at a time, and then as each one comes up, we'll discuss them and we'll see how it goes. It's difficult. I feel like I'm still collating.
You what? You're still collating?
But I'm going to go for the most recent film in the franchise for my last place with Alien Covenant.
Okay.
Yourself?
Yeah, I was the same. I was kind of swapping about a bit, and mine is Prometheus.
Oh, really? Okay, right. Okay, so that'll be an so both that's both the prequels. So we'll probably get the prequels over and done with, I guess.
Yes.
Will we?
Is that a question,
Yes,
sir?
Walter, that's a question.
That is correct.
All right. So maybe start with, I guess Prometheus came first. It'd make more sense maybe to start with that. So do you want to state your case?
So this was kind of inspired by the space jockey, I guess, kind of his backstory from the first Alien film, and it turns out it's all about who created the human species.
Yeah, quite an about turn for the for the series.
Yeah, so it's not really what I was expecting to
No,
see in
no.
the Alien franchise. I don't think it's something they did particularly well at all, really.
It's not going to be too long till it's revealed in my list. Put it that way. It's not my number 1 film. So yeah, I kind of agree. It's not great. There's a lot wrong with it. There's some things I like about it,
yeah,
but there's definitely a lot it gets wrong. And I think you kind of got to the crux of it. There is, you know, the space jockey in the original Alien was such a great kind of visual and an idea and stuff. And what was this thing? You know, was it organic or was it kind of like something
like biomechanical type
Yeah.
thing, wasn't it? H.R. Geiger design.
And it looked really great, and it was just a mystery about it that was just, you know, what were they doing with these alien eggs, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And then it's just kind of revealed in Prometheus that that's just a spacesuit, and underneath them they are just kind of humanoid creatures.
I mean, character-wise, I mean, it's nothing like the original 2 films, I would say. Whereas you're introduced to a group of people and you get them straight away. Very little time for character development, but you knew who they were, they felt real. Whereas with Prometheus, I'm still struggling with these characters.
No offence, but I've been asleep 2 years. I ain't here to be your friend.
My main kind of complaint about the film, I think, is it feels like scenes are just written in isolation from other scenes. So characters do completely 180 kind of volte-face kind of like things that they would never have done in a previous scene. It doesn't seem to add up. I think the most obvious one is our scientists. There's like a geologist and a biologist, I think, who are 1 minute sort of like completely terrified of a desiccated 2,000-year-old corpse.
Anyone want to join me, hey? You staying?
No, ship's good.
Yeah, shit very good.
And then the next minute they're sticking their faces going coochie coochie coo to a little alien slug kind of creature.
It seems to be they're all serving the plot, so they'll say whatever just to make the plot work.
Yeah, they need to do something dumb in order for things to happen.
Yeah, they weren't mature enough to be on a space mission.
even our main characters are like not that engaging, particularly. I mean, the main characters are sort of archaeologists, and I think the whole sort of mission, it feels very flaky that they've went on this enormous mission, enormous cost because of some cave paintings that they found on Earth. It feels like it needs a little more substance than that.
Yeah. I mean, the whole film lacks tension, apart from maybe my favourite scene, which is the cesarean scene in the pod. I thought that scene was really good, but that's the only scene I really remember from the film. Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, she was good.
She's okay.
Yeah, she's okay. And the android synthetic, played by
Michael Fassbender. I think he's got a sore back from carrying that film on his shoulders.
Big things have small beginnings.
I think for me, he's kind of like the main character, and you can kind of, it's kind of weird because even though he does these horrible things and stuff like that, it's to people that are a bit, like the archaeologist husband, who's a bit of a dick, really, and not initially, but like immediately after kind of like they discover that they haven't found what they wanted to find on day one of this mission, he just suddenly turns into just a moody, mopey, truculent kind of arse, really.
Pour yourself a glass, pal.
Thank you, but I'm afraid it would be wasted on me.
Oh, all right. I almost forgot you're not a real boy, huh?
Yeah, and you had Idris Elba and Charlize Theron, and the characters didn't amount to much.
No, and yeah, that's the thing. It's a great cast. It looks amazing. The film looks amazing.
It does. It's a lot of wide shots though, and whereas in the original two films, it's very claustrophobic, intense, and wasn't afraid of a good close-up. Whereas this is, everything's kind of feels kind of sterile.
Yeah, I was finding a good point there. I think it looks nice, and maybe because this is a much wider, grander kind of scope of like humanity and where we have come from and where we're going. Whereas the original Aliens, just like as it was,
it's all in a spaceship, isn't it? So it would
space truckers kind of moaning about their salaries and stuff like that.
It's us. It's everything.
Right.
So that worked for me. I think the visuals and all that, but it just kind of a great cast and everything. It just kind of falls down at the writing, really, at the pen and paper.
No.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Covenant, or will we come at that later?
We'll come into it now because it's my next choice. It's Alien Covenant.
So you've got both the prequels out of the way. My number 6-5 is Resurrection.
Okay.
So we might as well talk about Covenant, so we've got the prequels out of the way.
Yeah, that's the best thing for them.
Damn frustrating, I'd say.
Okay, I'll say it's my least favourite because it just feels like it's a film written by committee or something.
Yeah, possibly due to the reaction from Prometheus.
Yeah, I think that's heavy on it.
Yeah, because I think there's supposed to be a trilogy, the original prequel idea. So maybe they've kind of tried to combine two films at once, possibly.
Yeah.
It's just not great at all. There's too much in it that wasn't explored enough. Such as the android, what's his name, David, killing off the alien species. Yeah,
it's just like a flashback, isn't it? And that's the only thing that really connects the two films together.
And also him experimenting, because at the start of this film, our hero from the last film, Elizabeth Shaw, is dead.
She's been killed off screen in between films.
Yeah.
Something we might come to again in this series later on. So
that's right.
It's definitely got an issue with doing this, but
yeah, I mean, in some ways that's kind of brutal and realistic because life can be like that, but still.
That's why we go to the movies, though. You want to see a lot, especially a movie like this, where it's your heroic character at the end of Prometheus is going out to find her destiny and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, nah,
she's dead.
She's dead.
My name is Elizabeth Shaw, last survivor of the Prometheus, and I'm still searching.
Yeah, like I said, it just kind of feels like, they looked at the reaction to Prometheus and thought, right, okay, I mean, financially it did okay, but very divided opinions and stuff, so let's go with, we want to have a xenomorph, well, a proper xenomorph this time that we can put in the poster, we can have in the sort of trailers and all that kind of stuff, a spaceship of explorers who are going to be picked off one by one, and the main character is a very kind of like obvious kind of clone of Ripley from Aliens in terms of her kind of look and stuff. You know, I think they were kind of going for that, and it just feels like lots of kind of greatest hits of the Alien films kind of like smooshed into this one. People not acting quite as dumb as Prometheus, but still not, you know, Billy Crudup's character just sticking his face in an alien egg when he knows something's up with David, you know.
He seemed quite smart up to that point, and I was quite enjoying his character, and that was just silly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had a few good lines. I think there's a nice line before he did that. He said something about he's met the devil before.
David, I met the devil when I was a child, and I've never forgotten him.
So he seemed to know what's happening, that this
Yeah,
alien thing's bad, but
still sticks his face in there.
yeah.
I was kind of like swithering which way around I was going to put those two films, because Prometheus is a bit more pretentious and thinks it's like doing something a bit more haughty or something like that, you know. Whereas Covenant's a bit more kind of like, yeah, we're just giving you an alien film, scares and, you know, jumps and all that kind of stuff. So
it's at least a bit, for me, it was at least a bit more fun. That's probably why I put it up above Prometheus.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and it was quite cruel as well. I suppose the most interesting character, again, was the two synthetics. Was it David and Walter? He's kind of decided that, of course, all organic forms are worth experimenting on and getting rid of, I guess.
Okay, maybe the flute scene was a little indulgent, or I thought, but...
yes.
Watch me. I'll do the fingering.
Cruel ending as well, our heroes.
Yeah.
Probably going to meet a nasty fate.
Yeah, and then that's kind of it, because they're not continuing on with this series. I think they're kind of, I don't know, Alien Romulus now, which is a different film altogether, I think, so I'm not entirely sure.
It's a shame. I wish they kind of stuck at it with what he intended to do, at least. If
they discontinued with the story of Prometheus, it might not have been great, but it would have been, you know, at least it would have been its own thing.
A bit more cohesive, I think.
Duly noted.
We'll do our number 4s. We can come to Resurrection when you do it. Yeah. So number 4, Prometheus. So for me, so it's just slightly above, but yeah, it feels like being at number 4 feels generous to it, but it's just by dint of, you know, they could have been swapped around a little bit, but yeah.
Sure.
So number 4 for you is
again, it was a tricky one for me, but it was Alien 3.
Okay, I kind of thought you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Alien 3, and that's fair.
Alien 3 was just a bit more disappointing than Alien Resurrection for me. Because I think it just went through so many different scripts and directors. I just felt very messy, especially in the middle section. I mean, I remember at the time watching this, I mean, it was very cruel because at the end of Aliens, we see Ripley, Hicks and Newt, you know, safe and sound in their cryo chambers.
Like a little family unit that we've got together here. And
at the very start of Alien 3, Newt, the wee girl, and Hicks, our hero, killed off.
I do think that's kind of unforgivable, and it is hard to kind of like come back from that. I've no problem with everyone dying in this film at the end, but there needs to be a cause for it. It needs to be written well and stuff, but just to kill them both off of that, it's kind of bleakness for bleakness sake, I think.
It's an incredibly bleak film. The cinematography is really quite stunning at times. The atmosphere is great.
It's got a good atmosphere. I wrote that down in my notes. It has a good atmosphere.
So she's stuck on a planet full of the worst kind of inmates.
Killers, rapists, all men, and a back-ass planet where they found religion and they're kind of like holed up there. So it's an interesting concept.
Quite a story, Mr. Aaron.
Right, sir. It's a beauty. Never heard anything quite like it, sir.
Expect not.
Back to basics, it's one alien, they're not armed because it's not a traditional prison, they're not being kept there against their will. It's just sort of like they're institutionalized.
Do you have any faith, sister?
How much?
Well, we've got a lot of faith here. Enough even for you.
The first hour is pretty solid for me.
I agree. I think during the first hour or so, I'm thinking this is right up there with the first two films. But then it just something happens. It starts to fall apart a bit.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when, but I just feel like the way Charles Dance's character, he's quite interesting. He's one of the more interesting characters, and he forms a relationship with Ripley.
Yeah.
He has a moment, and then they kill him off, and it feels like you're just doing this now, you know, like just to annoy him, because yeah, it's more realistic that could happen, but you're building up this nice character, and it's fine that he's going to die. We're expecting everyone to die, or most people to die in this film, but it just feels like at that moment they do that, and then the main gaffer gets killed as well. And then after that, it just kind of descends into, for me anyway, like nondescript guys running about in the dark corridors. I'm still not entirely sure what they're trying to do. It's this sort of slap heads in space, as it was labelled. It's a bit of a problem for the film.
I think we better rethink this.
It kind of wins me back a little bit to the end. I like when you know, Bishop's character comes in, the Wayland Yutani group kind of come in because they want to get the alien. And
it's also bleak because Ripley's got an alien growing inside her.
Yeah.
So that's going on throughout the entire film, and she's struggling with that. And
yeah, and it's got some nice moments with that. Yeah.
What is it?
I think you've got one inside of you.
It's not possible.
A lot of money was squandered in development of this film.
Right.
Because I think they started building sets for one of the scripts, and then they changed the script, so they'd already
was this
spent
the Wooden Planet thing with the monks, or was that
possibly?
Maybe that wasn't even that. There's a few different iterations of this, isn't there? Which we'll maybe one day we'll talk about.
Yeah, it's definitely one to talk about.
But we're gonna stop them anyway! Send in the Marines! We're the Space Marines! Drake, Ripley, Eight-Bone, Bishop. And I'm Hicks, armed with the latest high-tech heavy metal.
Look out, Hicks! The Queen's gonna crown you! But
we'll do Alien Resurrection, I guess. That's my number. That was my number. Oh no, we haven't come to that in your one yet.
No. Well, okay. My next one is Alien Resurrection,
right?
Which is number 3.
And mine's is Alien 3.
So yeah.
So we'll do Alien Resurrection then.
Cool. It's probably the most stylized of the films, I think. Jean Pierre Jeunet's direction. He did Amélie.
Yeah. After this, yeah.
Yeah, I love the look of this film. And I love the characters. I like the crew of the Betty, Ron Perlman, Jonah. He was a lot of fun. He's quite dark and menacing.
Jonah, you son of a bitch!
Come on, man. You didn't feel a thing.
It's also the funniest of the Alien films. There's a lot of humour in this one.
It wouldn't be hard, but yeah, it does well, yeah.
Oh, I see. Stupid me. Of course.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed all that. The stuff I struggled with is I think it's called the newborn, the alien at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just so grotesque. But Ripley's performance with it was so confident, and
yeah,
it works on a certain level. But I mean, it's hard to look at.
Brad Dourif's character appears after being off screen for like an hour and a half and mumbles something about its biology, and there we go. It's a newborn.
I told you. At first everything was normal. The Queen laid her eggs, but then she started to change. She added a second cycle, so
it feels like that needed. It feels like that's something's been cut out of there or something, I think.
Possibly. It still works for me because
of the
the mix up with the human DNA and stuff, and
yeah,
but it's just it's disturbing.
I think my favourite sequence is probably the underwater sequence. It's quite a good bit of tension there, and then it kind of ramps up. It felt like Aliens at that point, because it's like things go from bad to worse. They're underwater, and then they get their way to get up, but it's got this kind of layer over the top of it. And once they manage to punch through that, facehuggers are flying at them and all sorts, and that was all really good. And then it gets a bit kind of stodgy after that.
How can you stand being what you are?
Not much choice.
Yeah, I mean, it could have worked, but it feels like they needed that fifth film or something, you know, of originally that was kind of maybe going to happen and then didn't, and then was maybe going to happen with Neil Blomkamp at one point and then didn't happen. So it doesn't look like it's going to happen now. But yeah, so it does feel like Alien Resurrection does feel like this weird appendage to me. It's sort of like it's not really connected to the first three particularly, and then it does its own thing, and then it doesn't really go anywhere. So it feels like within its own right, if it wasn't connected to the Alien franchise, it might be an interesting little 90s sci-fi kind of action film.
Yeah, it's an extra film that wasn't required, but I enjoy it in its own right.
Okay.
I suppose it keeps in with the kind of loosely religious metaphors with resurrecting.
Yeah, there's a bit of that, isn't there? Yeah.
It's like she was always destined. She already defeated the alien, but they resurrect them both, and then she has to fight to do it again.
That's true.
Hey, I thought you were dead. Yeah, I get that a lot.
We're down to our last two.
Yeah.
So this is a big reveal, because I don't think there was any shockers that these two were going to be our top two.
Yeah.
But which way around?
I struggled with this as well, to be honest. Do you want me to go first?
I don't mind.
My second one is Alien.
My second one is Alien.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh well. No fight. I've seen this countless times.
Yeah, sure.
And this time, I love the characters. They all just feel real. It's like I said before, you get to know them straight away.
Mm-hmm.
They're really unique and individual, and they feel human. And it's the look of it is very real looking, and the sets look stunning. I mean, I watched it for sets and lighting this time, more from a technical point of view. The lighting's incredible. It's so well done. Yeah, and I love the performers. Great character actors. John Hurt, who dies early, obviously. That was a big shock back in the day.
I'm assuming everybody knows about that scene.
What's the matter? The food ain't that bad, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you totally. What a cast, and the same thing with like the characters, without talking too much about nonsense or anything like that, and like you would maybe get in Prometheus or something like that, where everyone's just kind of trying to build these characters and stuff. They're just kind of going about their everyday business, and it's just the way they react to each other. The sort of factions within the seven of them, who gets on with who and who doesn't, and what that says about each other.
Right.
Whenever he says anything, you say right, Brett. You know that?
Right.
I mean, I saw Aliens first, so when I went back to watch Alien, I obviously knew that Ripley was, you know, the main character. But if you didn't know that, it's so well done.
Yeah, because she's just another character, really.
A transmission? Out here?
Yeah.
What kind of a transmission?
Her actions with not letting them on the ship initially, although it's the right action and stuff like that, it could be seen as a bit cold.
Wait a minute. If we let it in, the ship could be infected. You know the quarantine procedure.
24 hours for decontamination.
If they'd listened to her, they might have been able to save at least the other six.
Yeah.
Maybe not John Hurt's character Kane, but
or even I think it's Parker that said it twice. Why don't we just freeze him and like deal with it later?
What I think we should do is just freeze him. I mean, if he's got a disease, why don't we stop it where it is?
You know, he said it twice.
How come they don't freeze him? How come you guys don't freeze him?
Good advice.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's great character stuff. It works with the cast absolutely. The set as well, amazing. The technology aspect, I just love all the sort of the tech stuff that they've got there, retro futuristic tech and stuff. This feels grungy and sort of lived in world, you know. Amazing.
You admire it.
I admire its purity.
Lambert's death was quite mysterious.
Yeah, I suppose maybe the.
I think they're running out of money.
Yeah.
So it's because it wasn't her feet that her legs that you see.
Oh,
it was another actor, so it was taken from another scene.
Okay.
So it kind of works.
Yeah, it maybe the alien maybe feels a bit yieldy, man in a rubber suit kind of thing. Can't be helped, I suppose, with the time and the budget and all that. It obviously got a lot better with that kind of stuff as the films went on.
Yeah, just incredibly claustrophobic and a lot of tension.
Yeah.
Even rewatching it, you still feel it. You still feel the tension.
Yeah, yeah.
And a great showdown with Ripley and the alien.
Yeah, very kind of like not over the top or anything like that. Just two people in a room trying to outfox each other. Classic, and probably should be number one, I suppose, in a different timeline. But, this is our timeline, so
yeah.
Our number one film is the sequel, James Cameron's 1986 Aliens. It was always going to be this way for me. Just one of the most influential films in my youth, kind of growing up.
Yeah, I mean, when I sat down to rewatch all these films, I said, right, I'm going to be hard on Aliens, try and take it down a notch, but I just can't. It's just too good.
Ready to get it on. Go!
It's got a bit more going on in it than the original Alien, and that's not a slight on Alien, but character-wise, story-wise, mission-wise and all that, it's got a bit more heart and soul.
Mm-hmm.
It's also just perfectly executed with the escalation of things, people's reactions to things. I mean, the whole sort of Marines going in, kick ass, and then getting wiped out, and then
the Marines are amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I was saying before, you get to know them quickly. It's so well written and performed and cast, and the way it's shot.
Yeah,
you just get right in there, and you feel like you're with them.
Absolutely badasses! Let's pack them in! Get in there!
This is a masterclass in having a range of characters, all these kind of military guys and stuff like that, but a great range of them. And yeah, there's a couple at the start that maybe, don't make as big an impression if you've only seen it a couple of times and that,
What is it, Hicks?
Hudson, sir. He's Hicks.
What's the question?
And I just love the sort of like the changing, embodied by Bill Paxton's character. If you watch him as it goes through the film, just amazing. Like his complete volte face in the face of these creatures.
Hey, maybe you haven't been keeping up on current events, but we just got our asses kicked, pal.
Yeah, and incredibly intense. And the wee girl Newt is fantastic. And mother-daughter relationship that's formed between Ripley and Newt. I mean, you really care for them, so that gives you another thing to root for. And obviously the film does the inevitable and separates them.
Newt! God! Newt!
We got a nice kind of like family thing as well when Hicks and Ricks, that's what they'd be called if it was nowadays. It would be Ricks, Ripley and Hicks have a sort of I just love their kind of relationship, and it's not spelled out.
No.
There's no sort of declaration of love. It's not in the theatrical version, but the special edition when they tell each other their first names always just gets me, man. Just gets me. I just love it.
See you, Hicks.
Dwayne. It's Dwayne.
Ellen.
Don't be gone long, Ellen.
Yeah, their chemistry, it works really well. It's very subtle. I think, when he's showing her how to work the gun, and you see their faces, they don't see each other, but you can see the expressions in their faces. You can tell there's
definitely something there.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that should have been in the theatrical version right from the start. Should never have been cut out. The names,
yeah. Of course, this is probably one of the first films, but big films anyway, to have a special edition.
Yeah, the first one I remember.
Quite rightly so. Definitely adds a lot more to it, a lot of detail.
I like both versions, but there's definitely it's nice to have both versions. I think that would be it's nice to watch them both, and I sort of tend to every sort of year or two sort of watch one and watch the other. So I think both work perfectly well, but possibly the special edition just nudges it. Yeah,
and the finale is just so epic and intense. You got the rescue mission, meeting the Queen alien for the first time.
And it's just well set up as well, there's just a sort of You kind of know there's maybe something, but you're not quite sure what.
So who's laying these eggs?
I'm not sure. It must be something we haven't seen yet.
And then that reveal, amazing. And there's just so much great stuff like that in it. It's amazing. And, you know, possibly, is it one of my favourite films of all time? It's in my top 10 easily. It was always going to be #1, and a hugely influential film in my psyche. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It just kind of like balances all its sort of action, horror, adventure, maybe not adventure, but you know, it's kind of like going on this journey and stuff. Just some things still grab me, like when you see Bishop getting ripped apart.
Yeah, because you thought it was all over.
I remember the first time I saw that.
Yeah. That's a nightmare. It's like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Not bad for a human.
Yeah, one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
The GOAT, as the kids would say.
Yeah.
Magnificent, isn't it?
Well, thanks for watching. Did we get it right? Tell us your lists in the comments. But that's all we've got for you today. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.